Welcome to the Identity Work Podcast. If you are a high achiever struggling to find purpose in work, then join us as we discover how to create more meaning in work and life. Welcome to another episode of the Identity Work Podcast. We are so excited that you have joined us today. Adam, it is good to see you. Thanks for being back, partnering with me on this journey. And it's good to see you.
Always good to see you too. Thanks for partnering with me.
Yeah. And tonight we're talking about Sabbatical Round Two. It brings me back to the glory days of no Wi-Fi when you were in Lithuania and Slovenia and giving us all the travel tips that you could. But we're going to talk about something a little bit different tonight. Maybe reorienting our definition of sabbatical from like a multiple months I need to do what Adam did to can you just take a week off or a weekend off? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I think when I tell people I went on a sabbatical, it feels super unapproachable for people. People are generally like, wow, that sounds so fun. I've always wanted to do that and I can't for XYZ reasons. So I guess I'll just never be happy in my work. Yeah, maybe that's slightly exaggerated, but I think that's generally the vibe that I get from people when I talk about, all the learnings that I had on this crazy trip that we took. And I left that trip. I actually had this hypothesis leaving that trip that you really did not need to do it as long as I did it. And that there were two
Remind me
parts of this.
how long were you gone?
I was out of the country for 7 months and didn't have like a full-time job for almost a year.
Yeah.
Or for 9-10 months. And there were really three parts of my journey. This isn't exactly what the newsletter is about, but probably good context. Part one was I worked remote from Costa Rica, and I was in 3 different places for a month each. And part two was I had no job, and I traveled Europe and was in like a place for every week to 4 days, roughly. And then part three was I was in my apartment in Atlanta searching for work and doing consulting things and sitting in coffee shops contemplating what I wanted to do with more sort of like pressure of, hey, you need to make money now on me. And those were the 3 phases. And I actually think the time when I did the best thinking was really the first part when I was in Costa Rica, but actually still working. And not so much the second part. I think I did a lot of good thinking the second part, but the second part felt more fun. And like I saw a bunch of really interesting, cool things and had fun conversations with Christy and it was a good adventure, but I did as much good reflection when I was still working. I just didn't have the noise of the Amazon backlog that you need to order and the thing that broke, the hot water heater that broke and the car that you needed to get the oil changed. Like I had nothing in my life besides work from 9 until 5 and then sit on a beach and write in a journal. And so this is a long way to say I left that trip with this hypothesis that sabbaticals didn't need to be as long as I had chosen to make mine. And my wife got to go on a 1 week sabbatical and kind of test that hypothesis. And it went great.
I love it. So tell us more about, so your wife's trip was the catalyst for this piece. Yeah. How should I think about, maybe I can't take a week off at this stage, but at least a weekend, like how should I think about structuring time off to help me process life?
Yeah. I think that the things that mattered were, is it a quiet environment? I unscientifically said less than 1,000 people a day that you would like possibly interact with. I think a beach is also.
Do you interact with 1,000 people on a given day?
I think I more mean just like in your general vicinity. Like it needs to be a place where I don't interact with 1,000 people. I probably interact with 4, but I'm like looking at buildings with lots of people in buildings. I kind of know the people are around. I think that's kind of what I mean. Like it needs to be a place in more of a wilderness experience. That's what I'm trying to say. You need to see some trees.
So it needs to be in nature.
It needs to be in nature. a weird way to say it needs to be in nature. That's right. I think you should reduce technological noise as much as you can, like silencing notifications, not doing any work at all, leaving your computer behind where it's not even an option or temptation, trying to not send emails, all that good stuff. Um, and then I don't honestly don't know if a weekend is long enough. And I mean to burst your bubble, but I think a weekend is good and helpful. But I don't think you will really like decompress for 2 or 3 days at least. So I think a week is a more reasonable, like you don't have to go for 7 months, but you really should probably take a week if you really want to. If you really want to do something, I would say is like a restful sabbatical. I think it probably takes a bit more than a couple days.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, so yeah, I think that's my current working hypothesis. You can certainly prove me wrong. And again, I don't think a weekend is bad. I also think that taking time is more possible than maybe people give it credit for. Like Christy, we have a kid. Like Christy's a mom and is working a full time job. We like made it happen. And I think if you both decide it's important, you can find a week.
Yeah. So how do I know, like, what's the cattle? Like, how do I know of like I should go on a sabbatical? Is it to process like a
Mm,
decision? Is it just like you should do one every year? Like you go to the doctor, it's just like good hygiene to like take a step back. What are like some of the things I should be paying attention for to be like, it's probably time where I need to step back a little bit?
yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to tell you or you listener what the indicator of that would be. I think if you want it, if you're there, you know. I don't think anyone's debating like if you're like I don't think I would really benefit from a sabbatical. You don't need to take one. You're totally not in you're not in that space. But if you feel like every part of you is not wanting to show up to work and you just want to run away and hide, then it probably is worth taking a week to think about it.
Okay. And how would you like? What's the difference between a sabbatical and vacation? I'm trying to grill you today.
Vacations vacations are no, it's good. Um you're definitely making me stand firm in my hypothesis of what makes a sabbatical and refine it a bit in my head. A vacation has more of an itinerary to it, I think, or maybe less of an itinerary. It's probably either or of those things. I think some
You're just
vacations.
confusing me. The philosopher Adam just
I
came out.
know, I know. Two options of vacations that people will do. One is you stay in 5 different Airbnbs in a 7 night span and go to 16 museums and read 3.5 books and have a very productive time where you return having an adventure but not really doing any thinking. That's my preferred method of vacation. That's
I
how I
could
do it.
tell. No one else would have been able to conceive that as a vacation. So,
There's people like me out there. I have confidence. Option 2 is you just like go to a beach and sit. I don't know, maybe that is a sabbatical, but I think there's some intention to a sabbatical.
yeah,
There's
that's
a
what I was going to say.
question. There's a question or topic that you were wanting to wrestle with. And it's not to say that you sabbaticals need to be exhausting in their pursuit of some big life question. If you don't answer it, then you failed. I think Christy's Christy's example is a really good one. Just like she has some like big questions about life that she was walking in and trying to answer, and she didn't really answer any of them, frankly. Like she didn't come back saying, this is exactly, X answer to that question, and I'm no longer asking that question anymore. But she came back more confident in her own ability to navigate to the answer to the question. Almost like she had
Interesting.
tools or um not even tools, honestly, just more like self-confidence that she was going to find an answer to the question, or I think previously the questions felt impossible to answer. That felt like the big change. So I think that's a
That's an
marker of a
interesting
sabbatical.
insight. Yeah, because you know, like you go into the time off, it's a sacrifice of time. You go in with these big questions of, "Am I in the right career? Should I be doing what I'm doing?" Whatever they may be, and then you come out with no answers, and yet it's still a worthwhile aspect of your time. So I think that's helpful. I mean, in some ways, it dovetails to kind of the meta narrative, if you will, of our of our podcast. Of like sometimes it's about the journey, and taking a little bit of pressure off of like what the destination is, or like finding the perfect answer. So that's interesting that she went in wanting to get answers to these questions, didn't get the answers, and felt felt like it was worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. I think the journey is certainly the main the main part of it. I think so much of meaningful work is letting yourself feel the meaning in the work that you're doing. And it's more about your own feeling of the meaning than it is about the work that you're actually doing.
Yeah.
That was maybe a little, philosophic for you.
Yeah, philosophical Adam came back.
But I think it's really true. And I think when I reflect on my own experience of work post the sabbatical, that is the main thing that has changed for me. Similarly, went into the sabbatical time that I had, the long one, wanting specific answers to the questions like what exactly am I going to do? What's the business I'm going to start, or the title, or whatever. And I think I expected to come back in a pretty with a different opinion of what I was going to do for work. Like I was going to take some big pivot. I don't know where I was going to go, but it was going to be something pivoty. And I'm doing like the exact same job at effect, not the exact same company, but like the same industry for a company that works extremely closely with my previous company. It's about as like similar of a job as is possible. And but my experience of it, even like culturally, is like honestly pretty close. Um, but my experience of it is much better. And I think the biggest thing is I am not expecting something out of work that work can't give me. My expectations are different for what I'm wanting out of work. And what I want now is hard work and learning and balance and I don't know, like challenge. And I think what I wanted before was magic, bliss, fairy dust, joyful times. And I don't think that's what work was here to give me. And I don't think any work is like ever going to give me that
Yeah.
magic experience where I float out of bed and drift off into my Excel model and, you know, never have a sad moment for 10 hours.
Yeah, I don't wanna hold to what Brandon Mark said about like, I just think 80% of work is blah. And 10% is gonna be awesome and another 10% is gonna kinda suck. I keep on thinking about that. And I don't want that to be true, but maybe some of it is true. Yeah.
I think it's really true. I think that was a really insightful thing that he said that I have sat with a lot. I wonder if this is a question I came out of that. If I could go back and ask Brendan, I would, but now I get to ask you, so I'm curious.
Great. Brendan, if
Um,
you're listening, you can text in your
yeah,
response.
yeah, yeah. Shoot us a text. Is
Someday
the
when we're as big as TBPN, it'll be live, but this is
is the
pre-recorded.
goal of work, like the pursuit of more meaningful work, about finding the 10% that is the best 10% joyful part possible? Is it finding the 80% that's like actually the blah is like a 6.5 out of 10? It's like a good blah. Or is it finding that the job that the 10% bad is like, that's not that bad. I'm fine with that. Like what are the percentages are you really optimizing for?
I guess I'm optimizing for the 80% to make the 80% only 30%.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if you can reduce the percent, but I kind of get your point.
I'm trying to take the 10% that's good and make that bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think
It's a
that's
big
probably right. I
question.
think you probably are looking for the like total average score, the weighted average meaningfulness ranking. And I think that looks like I don't know. your meaningfulness at each point times the percentage of time that you spend in that state, and that means that you optimize to the 80%.
Yeah, divided by your expectations. So therefore, if you lower your
Ooh,
expectations,
that's good.
someone can fact check me on this. But yeah, I I do
I
think
like that.
the paradigm shift of your expectations and not always longing for the dream job.
Yeah, it's certainly been significant. The biggest change for me, that's been my biggest change. And I think for Christy, she's starting to have different realizations, but some similar types of structural, what do I want out of work reframing
Yeah.
that's been helpful for her.
But I don't want low expectations in life. That's where I struggle a little bit, you know?
Yeah. I
But
don't
maybe
feel
it's
like I
just
have
more of
low
a
expectations.
realistic. Yeah, it's not low. Maybe it's
I
just
don't
more
think
of
yeah,
a
I don't think I have low expectations.
yeah.
I think that I have appropriately placed expectations.
Yeah.
Like I'm not expecting work to feel light and breezy and joyful. I'm expecting it to be a place where I'm challenged and grow and learn and like achieve and connect, and it can give me those things. It can't give me the same feeling of like hiking a mountain with my best friends. That's not its goal.
No, but I want it to be because it's where we spend a lot of our time. And I guess it's a
I know.
realization that, like, yeah, nothing in life, will ultimately satisfy besides God. But still, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's probably some people out there that that's what work feels like, but I just found it
I
was
like
not
how you
very
described
helpful
that
framing
light
for
and
me.
breezy and joyful. Yeah.
Yeah. One day maybe I'll be surprised. I'll get to the magic fairy tale land, and then I'll be so delighted because my expectations have been low for so long that when I get there it'll change everything.
We'll, we'll see. It's about the journey. It's about the journey. All right. Well, we pivoted a little bit. Anything else about sabbatical? I guess I'm just trying to like, am I actually going to do this? But I guess it's some of it is situational. Uh,
Yeah. Another tip that I give when I talk about sabbaticals, like I said, a lot of people ask these questions is
yeah, talk about
I
that a
really
little bit because one of the reasons we're talking about this is because you had more response to this newsletter than others. Like, what were some of the things people talked about, and why do you think this resonated a little bit?
yeah, I think the idea of a sabbatical is something that's really interesting to people. I think a lot of people are in that position that I talked about where they're dreading showing up on a Monday and they know they're in the group that needs to take a sabbatical. I think that's the first part. I think the lowered effort required for the process I outlined here felt a lot more attainable to people. I think there's a lot of people that know they're in that bucket but feel like they can't quit their job and travel for 7 months, 3 kids and mortgage they need to pay and et cetera and et cetera, et cetera. And so this is like out of the question, but they can find a way to get a week. And so I think that's what connected with people. Something I didn't write in here, but I would emphasize is a really helpful reframing on sabbaticals is I think the busyness of life, the busyness in your life, your inability to really process is 2 buckets of things. Bucket 1 is work. You spend 8 hours a day doing some functional task that is not contemplating the meta experience of your work and then, giving you the space to think about why am I doing this and what do I want to do? The second bucket of time is all the other stuff in life that involves, cooking food and going to the grocery store and fixing the water heater and cleaning your car and all these things that are responsibilities that you have that are also filling your mind, making it difficult for you to think about those work reflections. And I really think you just need to remove one of those 2 things for some extended period of time to create enough space for your brain to process. What I would love to do, Chrissy and I's one of our big dreams coming out of our trip was to spend a month every year somewhere that's not our house, like a consecutive month.
I'm in. Can I come?
It would be awesome if that place was international. What'd you say?
Can I come? I'm in. I want to come.
Yeah, 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 for sure you can come. Yeah. You gotta bring the whole crew though. And you're not allowed if Lexi's not there. We need her to come back on our podcast.
I get that a lot.
Man. So I would love for you to join. But yeah, that was our dream, was to go to spend a month somewhere that's not our house every year. But for that month, to work for 2 weeks, to spend half that time doing my job remote in some different place, and then half of that time actually on a vacation. And I think that would be way more than sufficient time to clear my head and all those things. So, anyways, that's my dream. But I think even for, listener out there, convincing your job to let you work remote for 2 weeks and going to some mountain town and working for 2 weeks, you can take no PTO, but just being in a place that's a lot less noisy would be hugely helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, because it is hard when, I mean, all the return to work mandates and being in the office, it's hard to be able to step away unless you're doing your own thing. And so, yeah, I was wondering how you would address that.
And, I don't know, maybe a week is more realistic than a week of not working is more realistic than a week of remote. I'm just saying there's options, and finding some kind of functional way to create some extended space in life is possible.
Yeah. And I do think you're right because I think about work all the time. I can also go back to what you said. Like, if I have 10 cares in a day, 9 out of 10 of them are about work. And it's like, that's me too. And it is hard. You do have to turn it off. Like, but I think about that every day. It's like, man, my mind is just like going to work, going, like, it just like keeps the him prone to wander. Lord, I feel it. And it's like, that's just prone to wander to work because I care so much about, yeah, I don't know. And so removing
Yeah.
yourself from it and then giving your mind time to pivot elsewhere, I do think is good.
Yeah. It's been good for us.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, anything else we didn't get to that we should have gotten to?
I don't think so. It was great. This is a retreat. I'll plug Emma, the guest on our podcast. Christy went on this retreat with Emma, and I think she's going to do it again next year, and it was awesome. So, and if you ever want to get connected to Emma, I think she probably has her contact info on previous podcasts, but you can also, hit me up, and I'm happy to make the connection.
Yeah. Love Emma. One of some of our favorite conversations we've had on this podcast has been with Emma, and it's cool. I know this retreat for her was a big dream, and it's cool that, two people, obviously your wife and Emma, got to spend time together. So I love it. It's great. Good. We got some good feedback after our last episode. One of our listeners encouraged Adam to read the book 4,000 Hours. So stay tuned. Adam now downloaded the book, and we'll have an upcoming episode on that. So thank you for the feedback. We also got a note from a listener. Got a lot out of today's podcast! Exclamation point. I get very caught up in the likability tasks and slow to move towards delegating. So thank you for the podcast. And after the episode, I texted a colleague to delegate a task that I normally do that I do not need to be doing. Grateful for this podcast. That's encouraging. Keeps us going.
Yeah, thanks.
Love it. My wife also said I love it. I say I love it too much in between transitions. So I am working on that.
That's very specific feedback. That's
very specific.
I love that. That's helpful.
Yeah. I've also realized I do say a little bit. It is hard to listen to yourself, and I am working to improve. So thanks for your grace, listeners.
It is hard.
The
it's
transitions
hard to not
are
say
tough, right?
And like and transition. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I have the pleasure of trying to edit clips for LinkedIn for us, and trying to find an uninterrupted 30 seconds where I sound smart is hard. Anytime I try to cut 30 seconds, I'm like, oh man, those 8 seconds, I really didn't sound that great. But it's obvious when you chop to some totally different idea. So you can't just move the clip. You gotta accept it as it was. At least that's my non-professional editor, opinion or chains that I'm tied to. So I listen to myself a lot, and I'm never impressed with my wisdom.
I'm impressed. We're always hard on ourselves, you can't listen to Sad Adam or whatever. But it is humbling. It's harder than it looks, folks. Even though you're listening, it's harder than it looks. All right, let's go to Trendspotters, my favorite part of the show. Well, I like all the show. Trendspotters. Adam, I'm counting on you to keep me fresh with what's going on in AI.
Yeah, this just becomes like the AI corner with Adam. What is going on with AI? I don't know if I talked about this in a past Trendspotter. If I did, apologies. But the some companies have started laying off people and explicitly saying it's because AI is very efficient, and that's pretty
Yep.
new in the last couple of weeks. I think previously, yeah, Block is the first big one, and Meta has some rumblings of that right now. My brother works at Meta, which is why it's top of mind for me. And even
As long
like
as he's not
internally,
working out the metaverse, he's fine, right?
yeah, he is in the metaverse.
Seriously?
Yeah, he is seriously working, and he is like, yeah, in
Yeah, he
data
should
in the
dust up his
metaverse.
resume. Yeah.
So, anyways, it's top of my
Anyways.
mind. And there was this report that went viral in tech centers called the Citrini. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but the basic idea is that there's this flywheel that will eventually happen where companies lay off people because AI is more efficient to invest that money back into AI, which makes the AI more efficient, which then leads them to lay off more people, then leads them to invest more in AI, and on and on and on. When that report came out, a lot of people said that'll never happen. And then 2 weeks later, Block did it, and it was like, oh, maybe it's actually going to happen. I don't know. So maybe reflect on how employable am I and where am I at threats, and is that something I should be afraid of? Should I not be? Do I have confidence in my ability to adapt to the new world? I don't know. These are the questions I've been asking myself. I don't have good answers yet.
Yeah. And raising kids now too. It's like, what is the job market going to be looking like when they're
Yeah.
graduating?
Yeah.
Thanks
It's
for
crazy.
the AI corner. I don't know if I have a big trend. I'm sorry, failing you.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't have one. All right, let's keep going. Delve deck.
Bring it on.
Okay, here's the cards. Okay. What do you wish was more normalized?
These are always so hard. What do you wish was more normalized? This is I don't know how these things you're looking at a camera talking into a microphone, and the craziest things pop in your head. What I wish was more normalized was going outside with no shoes on. Or particularly walking in like rooms with no shoes on. A couple examples of this that are embarrassing stories of my life that probably will give you some amount of insight into my personality. Um, One is that I was every day at Bain. As soon as the partner would leave the office, I would take my shoes off in the office and walk around with no shoes on.
At the client site or in
No,
at
in our
Bain?
office. In our office. But I would be there from 5 till like 1 in the morning with no shoes on, with all my team there. And I would pour a glass of milk and get a cup of goldfish, and I'd take my shoes off. And that was like the start of the party night. It was like something I did to, I think, feel like a kid still, and still feel like I had my humanity when I knew I was about to work till 2 in the morning every day. So random story, but I wish it
Wow.
was more normal to take your shoes off in public places.
I love the mental picture of little Adam.
I know, it's so
cup of
funny. I
milk,
thought it was like kind of normal too. I
goldfish,
don't know why.
no
I
shoes
thought
on.
I did that. Yeah.
And the team was they just thought it was fun.
No one, I don't think, said anything about I don't even remember it being a thing. I don't remember anybody saying it was cool or not cool. I just remember it being like, okay, he's gonna take his shoes off.
Oh, amazing. Good.
Yeah. What about you? What would you normalize?
But when I heard that word, my mind went to a guy that went viral probably a year ago called like Normalize the Norm, and who did videos of himself just like waking up, going to the cube, getting lunch, going home, walking the dog, working out, watching a show, and going to bed. And kind of like what's wrong with that in the world of all these influencers kind of glorifying their lives on yachts or whatnot. And I think it, resonates to this podcast, Adam. We did invite that guy on the podcast, and he hasn't gotten back to us yet, but there's still a chance that he does. And so I really liked his thing around normalize the norm. And then of course I think he sold out and like became an influencer, and it's like, well, your whole thing was like about being normal, and talking about that. So that's where my mind went. My mind also went again to the Adam voice in my head now, which is like, people should be less judgy about having a messy home. It's like normalizing more of the mess, I guess. Yeah.
I
So
like
that's
that
where my
one.
mind went. Yeah. I keep on thinking about what you say, Adam, on this podcast. It's weird.
That means a lot. Thanks.
Great. And what's one thing you want us thinking about as we finish our commute home, or take a moment to journal, or take a long moment over a sabbatical week?
Yeah, I don't know
Maybe
if you're
people
gonna be
are
able to
just
turn a
binging the
sabbatical around
podcast on their sabbatical.
fast enough. Yeah, if you're taking a sabbatical, you should listen to all 60 episodes straight, and that's all you should do. No, that's probably not a good idea. What should you be thinking about? You should be thinking about how to create some extended period of quieter ness. I'll make that word up for you. How to create an extended period of quieterness. That can look like however you want it to, but I think it's important.
I love it. And if, even if a week is too long, I do agree that's best. I've been trying to carve out a little bit of time on Friday afternoon to like go to, it's a coffee shop, but it has an outdoor area. So there's a hint of nature.
There's one
And
tree.
Yeah, it's actually at a nursery. Shout out to Ralph and Rose. There's a lot of trees. It's a coffee shop in a nursery. Kind of a cool idea. And journaling there. I say that with the intention of doing it every Friday. I probably do it once every 4 Fridays. But even that little bit of an hour of a journal, like closed computer, is feels like it's really good for my soul. So I'll offer that as well.
Good.
All right. With that, thank you for listening. Thank you for our listeners. Thank you for your texts and encouragement. We are excited to see you next time. We're working on a slate of guests, so we are excited to have you meet them as well. But until then, we will see you soon. Thanks. This show has been brought to you by Arvo Advisory, a new category of consulting company, half management consultancy and half executive communication and PR firm. Arvo works with great leaders to craft and communicate their strategy to achieve change and create valuable companies. Find out more at arvoadvisory.com or follow us on LinkedIn. And finally, if you've been blessed at all by this podcast, please remember to rate and review the show or share it with a friend. And with that, go forth and know that you are loved because of who you are and not because of what you do for work. See you next time.